But Jim, that is Gone with the Pope. What are your thoughts?
It's totally bizarre, man. I think there's a reason it was in the garbage. You know, like I'm not gonna say it's a bad movie.
I think it was in the garbage. I think the '70s wasn't ready for this film. I think that's what it is.
Maybe that's what he thought. Maybe Duke Mitchell was like, this movie is by far ahead of its time with all the racism and fat humor. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a bizarre movie that's like a product of a wannabe movie star, I guess, in the '70s. You know, somebody who I think thought he was a lot more famous than he really was.
The Sinatra friendship got to him a little bit.
I think so, yeah. Like all that bullshit.
He's probably like, hey, Frank, I got a great role for you. You play this Giorgio guy.
Yeah, there's really no words to describe it. It needs to be seen. And again, like, it is so 70s that I thought it was a 70s spoof movie. Like, there's a scene near the beginning.
See, I didn't get that. But maybe it was because I knew if you didn't know much about it going in, I knew this was a movie that was made in the 70s. I never felt like this was recreation. This felt wholly authentic, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, but like, that's amazing. Like, near the beginning, I forget who Paul's talking to, but he's talking to somebody and they're outside, like, sitting at a table, and there's like a bunch of like yellow dishes in front of them. And then behind them is this gaudy red and white checkered like tablecloth with like trays of food on them. But it looks so 70s that I thought there's no way that this isn't a spoof movie. And I was wrong.
Well, I'll tell you what, also going back to this could have easily been a comedy and it just isn't. There's no real jokes in it. Like if you're doing a spoof of 70s Italian American gangster pictures, well, all your jokes can't all just be the fashion and the interior decoration of the 70s.
No, but Patrick, it got to a point where like you know how like lots of scenes in the movie the camera would pan and then like stop midway and then continue to pan after like a slight adjustment. I thought that was part of the joke. I was like, I was like, they're going to make like a shitty 70s movie, and they're nailing it. This is hilarious. This is amazing. The only parts that are supposed to be funny is the racial humor, the fat lady, and then like stuff when they're on the boat together.
Lines here and there. There's nothing like
why me? Yeah. Why not? Yeah, it's just a bizarre movie. I don't think I have anything else to say about it other than that. So you take it away.
So I told you I knew vaguely what the plot was. So watching this movie, I went on a journey in this movie. Like halfway through the movie, I wasn't sure I liked it. I thought, it was interesting. The Duke Mitchell obviously is just a weird guy and who thought he could be a filmmaker, and the filmmaking isn't like terrible.
No,
it's not
but
like inept. It's not Tommy Wiseau. It's not Neil Green.
but it's very amateur, I guess.
It is, but there's still some style. Like you mentioned, some of the shots of Rome. Like some of the movie looks actually nice.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where I started really coming around was when they had kidnapped the Pope and they're on the yacht heading back, and it becomes like this happy-go-lucky, charming story of the Pope working miracles through finding the chain in the fish. And at that point, I was just like, this movie is so weird. Like, this movie could go in so many different directions. This movie could go in the direction where the Pope literally performs miracles, and it's like, it wouldn't shock me at this point. This could go in a direction where like Paul completely changes as a person or something, and he does this. And then even at that point though, like while I was on board, I still didn't overall like know what I felt about the movie for the most part. I'm like, at this point I was pretty certain I enjoyed it, but like then we get back, Paul back to California, and he does the killings, and it's like with that music playing, like this is actually cool. Like I like this, not just as like this is a terrible movie and it's weird. I like this scene. I like the style of this scene. This feels like low budget Scorsese, low budget Godfather stuff. Like this is awesome. And then when he went to the church, I was fully prepared for the Pope to show up and shoot him. That's what I thought would happen. Awesome. That's what I thought would happen. We ended up getting something maybe even dumber, but I don't think quite as satisfying, because we get God striking him down. Is that what that is? I guess it is. It has to be.
Well, there's two ways to interpret it.
Or are they just scaring him? Because that's lame if they're just scaring him. I assume he just dies.
Yeah, I assume he got away. I don't know.
But yeah, I wanted the Pope to show up and shoot him in the face. That would have been so awesome.
With like a shotgun.
All this mafia crime has rubbed off even on the Pope, and the moral of the movie is anyone who comes in contact with this is corrupted, and it would have been so stupid. It would have been awesome. Instead, the moral is
vague, just like lots of things in the movie. Vague.
But I gotta say, I really enjoyed it, the movie as a whole. Definitely more interesting than entertaining. A few laugh-out-loud moments, relatively few and far between, though. Mostly just, like, I enjoyed it for how weird it is. Like, why are we kidnapping the Pope? Why does the movie switch genres, basically? And also that the conflict of tone, of genre, in the second half of the film, from going between gritty gangster drama to sappy religious drama, like I was on the edge of my seat to see how that would conclude, and it concluded in an incredibly dumb way, a dumb way that I appreciated. But that experience of seeing him show up to the church and not knowing where the story was going to go, and it could go in so many incredibly stupid ways, and it ended up going in a very stupid one, and I was just like so satisfied. I think this is a gem. But I will say, like, I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think, even if you like B movies, if you like bad movies,
there's aspects of it you're going to like, that's for sure.
For sure, but this is also, like, weird and interesting in ways that maybe other bad movies aren't. Like, this doesn't have the inept filmmaking or acting that you'll see in, like, an Amir Shervan movie like Samurai Cop or Killing American Style, or, it's not that kind of thing. It's not The Room. It's more just, like, this director had this vision. It's an incredibly weird vision that I can only imagine coming from this guy, but also, like, he's not the person to realize it. He doesn't handle it in the best, but it's such a weird, interesting vision that I liked it.
I will honestly say I liked this movie too, because it's just such a bizarre thing, and I think genuinely more people need to watch it, but it is this interesting, I don't want to call it a time capsule, but it's almost like an actual personal glimpse into a B or C list celebrity's life.
That was what I enjoyed about it more than anything, because knowing what I know about Duke Mitchell, it's such a weird career to be a quote unquote star, and to decide to make film, and to make a film as a director, which he also acts in. And by the way, he's not a bad actor. He's fine.
No, he's just got bushy sideburns and he's racist.
And then, but like, I guess I really appreciate just how the films that he decided to direct have nothing in common with, I guess, the rest of his career. And I think that's just really, really fascinating, is that he was a lounge singer. You'd think if he's making a movie as a director, it would just be like a light comedy or, a story about a musician trying to make it big. No, it's about kidnapping the Pope. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's what I don't understand, too, because, like, first off, the Wikipedia page for this is essentially nothing. But there's a line on it that says that, and I don't know how true this is, that Duke Mitchell was inspired by The Godfather, and he wanted to make something Godfather-esque, but I don't know how true that is. I can see him being inspired by a gangster type movie.
Yeah, I think the inspiration is Italian-American gangster pictures are in. I think that's where the inspiration begins and ends. I don't see there being a story influence or any kind of style. Maybe a tiny bit in the style that he's trying to do. But
isn't it so weird that the themes of the movie, I guess, you get kind of like gritty Italian-American gangster movie, and you get weird kind of like rom-com type comedy with like a bunch of men on a boat, like there's bits where like they're looking at Playboys and they're like kissing the nude model and handing it back and forth, and the old man sees it and he's hitting, I think it's Paul over the head with like the magazine, and it's like these cute little jokey jokes,
Also, and I think this is just the Italian, but borderline homoerotic at times. All the kissing on the mouth, like when he's leaving prison. I think that's just how the Italians are, or the Italians of a certain generation are. But some of these scenes, it's almost like, again, because I knew he was going to kidnap the Pope, it's like, is this all going to be because he's like closeted gay or something? Like, oh, this would be interesting. And then no, they don't do any. It's not what that is. That's not the story. I don't think they mention homosexuality. I know he complains about like the church could be doing more about all these starving people, and instead you focus on divorce and abortion. Like, I don't think he mentions homosexuality there. He could have listed that as like another thing that, hey, in the grand scheme of things, not all that important. But Jim, I want to share with you a few IMDb trivia facts. One of these I just read for the first time. Originally titled Kiss the Ring, it was renamed Gone with the Pope by Grindhouse Releasing. So that explains a few things. So the title is kind of a joke, I guess.
But Kiss the Ring?
Well, yeah, because the Pope, that's what you're supposed to do when you meet a Pope. Is you kiss the Pope's ring.
Like...
So also, this is as far as trivia that I find hard to believe. But you know what? I'm going to say find it a little easy to believe, because I think there's a certain level of delusion with Duke Mitchell when he's making this movie. The filmmakers requested a meeting with the Pope to discuss the validity of his kidnapping scenes in person. The Pope's people refused. This aspect of requesting a meeting with the Pope was used in the film. Are they that delusional or dumb to think that they could actually meet with the Pope to discuss?
It's tough, because I think you have to
if
be
one
delusional
person
to
is,
make
it's
a movie.
Duke Mitchell. Yes.
Yeah.
To make this kind of movie.
Well, to make a movie where you write, direct, and cast yourself as star. Yes.
Well, no, you don't. I mean, Woody Allen's not delusional. He's just a pervert. I mean, it's more... I think the delusion comes from his vision of the movie is just so weird. It's not him as like a director, producer, actor. Like, he's just... I don't know. And then also another IMDb fact, Jeffrey Mitchell, Duke Mitchell's son, has joked that despite the Christian themes in his father's movies, the only time he was religious was while on small planes having engine problems. So, which I just like that quote or whatever.
That's a great piece of trivia. I like that.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts on Gone with the Pope? Is it better than Gone with the Wind?
Oh, definitely better than Gone with the Wind.
I enjoy it more. Less racist, which is,
But I don't know.
Debatable.
I think it's also better than like Angels and Demons.
I'll give you that.
Though Michelangelo had more to do with this movie than Angels and Demons.
Yeah, that's right. He's credited. He's not credited in Angels and Demons, to my knowledge.
But yeah, no, it's a totally strange movie. Really, at the end of the day, it's just an interesting look into... I don't want to call him delusional, but I think he is. Into a delusional B-list celebrity's life.
Yeah, and that's where going back to what I said at the beginning, I think... What's that? I'm going to butcher the line because I haven't seen The Dark Knight Rises in like 8 years, but there's that line with Bane where he's like, "You merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it, molded by it." By the time I saw the light, I was merely a young man. But this to me is Duke Mitchell making a sleazy B movie, looking at all these other filmmakers, these Tommy Wiseau's, these Ed Woods, these all guys like, listen, you only adopted sleaze. I was born into it. I was in a Martin and Lewis rip-off comedy troupe before I was making films, and I'm going to take levels of that sleaze into my filmmaking. I will say I am disappointed no Sammy Petrillo cameo. Would have liked him to show up. Mm-hmm. It took me a long time to realize it, but I kind of love this movie.
I think I do too. Maybe not love, but I think I like it a lot.
Yeah, definitely not for everyone. A unique bad movie, a unique B-movie experience. I haven't seen anything else quite like this, I don't think.
No, I think that's fair to say.